Today we're gathering around the campfire with Ellen, a QHS member whose life is as exciting and grounding as a hike through the mountains. But what trails did she tread to reach these heights? Let's trek into the wilderness and discover the adventures that led Ellen to where she is today.
Hi, my name is Ellen. This is my prequel. So I'm doing this because I don't believe in medication. I'm not crazy about doctors, never have. Been going to a holistic doctor for 40 years and dealt with homeopathy and naturopath medicine as opposed to go to medical doctors and stuff like that. So this is my way of moving on and going further. So I'm looking forward to being healed. I have they tell me I have a bone-on-bone right hip. I have a pinched nerve in my back. My sciatic nerve is pinched, and it's goes into my groin and down into my right knee. And I tore the meniscus in my left knee last year. And then 2 years ago, I had a heart attack that they told me was no big deal. It was very slight. It was an 80% blockage in a secondary artery, so they didn't even put in a stent or anything like that. They just sent me home, and I've been working on healing that. And as far as I can tell, it's only a 35% blockage now. So anyway, I was born to my parents, Don and Marion, and I was an only child. My father was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 6 months old. My parents built a house and we moved out there when I was 2 into it because my mother wanted us to have a family life, and she wanted us to be secure in case my father died, because most people back then died of multiple sclerosis. And I had a great childhood. I was a princess. I was an only child, and I lacked for nothing, I guess I could say. We weren't rich, we weren't wealthy. My father worked, he was a baker at the A&P bakery, and my mother stayed home and took care of me until I went to school in first grade. As I grew up, I had a great time. I went through high school. I had a lot of friends. I got along with a lot of people. I had no problems with that. I was a terrible student. I hated school with a passion. Hated it. So my senior year in high school, my high school teacher dubbed me Sloopy. So everybody in high school called me Sloopy because I was failing English, and he told me to hang on. So that's how I got the name Sloopy. And the song was popular at that time. So anyway, graduated high school, went to hairdressing school, loved it, absolutely loved it, excelled at it. We had a contest at the end of the year. I won first prize. I did the best job of anybody else. And I was very happy and excited about that. My last year of high school, my girlfriend's parents owned a house on Cape Cod. We went down there for the summer after graduation, and we worked. We came home, and I loved it. When I went to hairdressing school, my teacher got me a job in Hyannis, so I got to go back to the Cape, and I didn't particularly care for it in Hyannis, so I ended up working in Chatham, and I went back 2 more years and worked at Ethel's Beauty Salon in Chatham and really enjoyed it. And that's where I got introduced to marijuana, and I started smoking pot, and I had friends, and I became a hippie. I grew up as a hippie. I was a dyed-in-the-wool hippie when I was a kid. I still am. And went back and met a girl there, and she was from Springfield, where I lived in Springfield, Massachusetts, and we went to buy some pot, and I met this guy, and I took one look at him, and I said to her, I'm going to marry him, and I did. And we were married for 1.5 years. We turned out to be heroin addicts at the end, after 1.5 years, and he went to see some woman and cheated on me down in Washington, D.C., and lied to me and told me he was going on a trip with the guys, and she understood him, and she would listen to him, and, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I took off, and I went to Florida. My parents were down there. It was Valentine's Day, and I ended up staying down there for 2 weeks and kicked the habit cold turkey, never went back. Came home, my apartment was empty. I had no husband, I had no apartment, I had no place to live. So I went back to my parents' house, and I went down to I ended up going to New York, and I became a model in New York City. And I worked in New York City for a year. I was on the cover of a magazine. I was in Women's Day magazine. I did all kinds of things like that. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And then I got robbed. And so I ended up meeting a guy from Texas, went to Texas to be with him, stayed there 6 months, didn't like Texas, decided I didn't want to marry him, came home, and got a job in hairdressing. And then I met my second husband, married him, was married to him for 10 years. He was a Ford dealer, and we had 2 Ford dealerships, and we lived in a 23-room mansion on a 7-acre estate. And we were very well to do. And it was interesting. It was a good life. It was interesting. But he turned into an alcoholic. And I couldn't take it anymore. And then the recession came and he lost everything. And he had a daughter. And she was born and raised in France. And she came over when she was 12 or 13. And I took her and I raised her the rest of her life and put her through school and stuff like that. And when the recession came, he wanted to send her back to France. And I wouldn't let him. I said, you can't do that. You can't take a kid out of a house with a dirt floor and a outhouse in the back. And if you wanted chicken for dinner, you had to cut the head off. I said, you can't do that. Put her in a 23-room mansion on a 7-acre estate and buy her jewelry and nice clothes and stuff like that. And then shove her back into that life again. I said, it won't do. So I said, I'll leave. So I left and I came back to Massachusetts because we were living in upstate New York. And I came back to Massachusetts and I got a job. And I got a job in hairdressing. I went into a salon and the girl wanted to know if I'd be interested in doing acrylic nails. They were brand new on the market. So I said yes. I was never one to turn down a free education in anything. So I said yes, and I did that, and I learned how to do it, and then I opened my own business, and I've been in business for, I think, 35, 40 years, somewhere around there. And I had a day spa. I opened up into a day spa and had a big day spa. I've been into spiritual stuff. I'm a shaman, and I've done EFT, and I've done Reiki, and I've done, I'm a minister also. So I've had a blessed life. It's been one time I went to a clinic. I got bit on the butt by a brown recluse spider, and I went to a clinic and they cleaned it out. And when the doctor came in, she was screaming at the nurses that the room was filthy with all the hazardous waste and all this kind of stuff all over the place. And so, but she opened me up and she cleaned me out and she packed me and did all that stuff. And when she did, she gave me hepatitis. And I went to the doctor with the hepatitis, and the nurse practitioner, I said to her, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And she goes, you must live a very charmed life. And I said, yes, I did. And I said to her, and I still do, and I love it. I have a great time. Along the way, Cliff and I got divorced, and after 10 years of marriage, and came back home to live with Mom and Dad again. And I met my husband Lionel. I had met another gentleman in between, fell madly in love with him, and thought I was going to die when he broke up with me. He turned out to be married, and he went back to his wife and his daughter, and it was okay. It was a good thing. It was for the best. And I wanted to meet somebody nice. And one of my customers said to me, you need to go where nice people go. And I said, where's that? She said, church. So I said, okay. So I went to church and I met this man at church, and he was wonderful. And we were engaged and we were going to get married, and he got cold feet and he bought a motorcycle and he went to Arizona, and I flew out to see him and to visit with him for 4 days. And we went to the Grand Canyon and traveled around, and he asked me to marry him again, and I said yes. And I said when? And he said, well. He said, I have to take the motorcycle home or I have to sell it or whatever. And I said, nah, you want to marry me? You got to marry me now. So we got on a plane and we flew to Las Vegas and we got married in Las Vegas. And we flew back and we came home. And we've been married for 35 years. We've been together for 40 years and I absolutely adore him. He is just heaven on earth, this man. He's just amazing and I love him dearly. And, we're still together and we live in the house my parents built. My parents left it to me and I love it. It's a little cottage and it's got a fabulous backyard and flowers everywhere and it's very joyful and very happy and I still have my business, although I'm semi-retired and I only work a couple days a week, a couple hours a day. I still have it. Downsized, it's small, it's not a big day spa anymore. And I'm very happy, I'm very joyful, and I'm very grateful for everything that I have in my life. Life is fabulous. And I guess that's it. I'm looking forward to going on the boat, maybe. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. I'm looking forward to the med beds that are coming up. I have my Q6. I never got my Q9. That never came in the mail. But I carry my Q6 with me all the time in my bra. And it's on. It's always going. And the only time I don't have it on me is when I take a shower. Even when I go to bed at night, I put it under my pillow. So I'm looking forward to really what life has to offer after the Q bed. I'm looking forward to my hip going back to normal. Physically, I'm very healthy. I don't have any issues. I don't have anything like diabetes or anything like that people get. So, I guess that's it. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I can't think of anything else that was pertinent enough to have to say. And it'll jog my memory. Ciao. Have a blessed day.
Join us on the Prequel, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Because here at QHS, we're all about healing, learning, and growing together.